Do you have trouble putting away your forehand on a high short ball? Today, I'm going to be talking about or showing you how to put away that short high one when you get the ball around in this area. I'm going to get straight to it. There's two things that you have to remember. One, most players, because they're taught like on the forehand of the racket drop is very important. But the thing is, when you're trying to put away the ball, you're trying to put away the ball and drive the ball forward, right? One thing that a lot of players do, I actually just, had another coach. Actually, she was my student and she's now a coach, and she still had trouble putting away that high forehand. And we just talked about this again, just yesterday, actually. I've heard from you guys commenting on how to finish that high ball on the forehand, the short ones. You don't want to take the racket down too far because that creates the ball and the racket. The difference in the height will make you go upwards on the swing too much. But do you need to be higher than the ball? Does the racket need to be higher than the ball and come down on the ball? No, that's not necessarily true, but that's what it should feel like, because when you're down here, when you go from here, it feels like you're hitting down on the ball. I'm only saying this because I'm assuming that you guys know how to play, okay? And I'm not talking to players that are just starting out, okay? So if you've been playing for a while, you know that the racket drop has to happen. And usually the racket drop happens whether you want it or not. Even if you're like, oh, I got to drop it even more. No, it's always going to happen because you've heard it so much. Now, when the ball is up here and you're preparing high, yes, you need to prepare high because the ball is high. So prepare high, but the thing is, most of you drop the racket too far. And the whole arm drops here and tries to hit the ball going up this way. How are you going to create the power going forward if your swing's going up? Doesn't make it. You're not going to go up and then go straight forward, right? That doesn't make any sense. If you're going up, it's going to go up even after you hit the ball. So that's why you guys are having trouble. You guys are adding a lot of spin, but you're not able to drive the ball. So when the ball is up here, racket goes up higher than the ball. You could go like this or here, it doesn't matter, but higher than the ball. But the thing is, as you come out, the racket will drop almost naturally. You got to film yourself too, but like if you're actually doing this, then that's no good. But when you're trying to go straight to it, the racket head will be lower than the ball, and then all you're doing is going more of a parallel swing. Even on the upward path, it's going up rather than going this steep of an angle, okay? So that's number one. Number two is, I've talked about this on my Korean channel, but I think this is the first time I'm ever talking about it in the English YouTube channel. There's multiple ways the racket can be closed. What does that mean? You have to remember, when you're hitting here, your racket can close like this, right? When you're hitting the ball. So if you're open and closing like in this fashion, right? But the thing is, when you're hitting the high ball, most players are so used to this and hitting the ball from here when they first start out, they don't think about how the racket is moving when the ball is up here. So you're not going to be hitting the ball like this, right? So you're not closing the racket. So let's say, for example, like you feel like you're going here and going through, but if you go through and go like this, it's going to go long, right? So consciously, you're like, okay, I got to close the racket face. But a lot of you close it like this. It's hard to do. Physically, it's hard to do, and you guys are closing it like this. You're staying parallel. The racket angle is parallel to the court, and you're closing it with your wrist or your arm like this. So basically, that's not going to give you any power. Does that even look comfortable? It doesn't look comfortable, right? You need to be able to close the racket face vertically. So when you're actually hitting, the racket closes like this rather than like this. You understand? So you could close. You see that? That's closed, right? So you could close. That's why you got to hit out in front too. To be able to hit and close your racket face like this at an angle meaning, the racket's more vertical, pointing to the sky. Not completely, but you get the idea. So here, and not pointing to the side, and the racket face is facing down. So you got to remember that. Those two are the two things that you should remember, and now I'm going to show you how to hit it. I was just thinking about how I should be doing the wrong way first. People are telling me the brain remembers the last thing you see. But if you're here on the court with me and doing a lesson, I would show you the bad way and then the good way. But the reason why I show you the good way first is because a lot of you watch the good way. Oh, it's like, oh, I got it. Now you turn it off. Okay? So it doesn't matter. If you want to see the bad way, just see the bad way and then you rewind and see the good way and turn it off. Okay? Here. So, and see how the ball goes down? You don't need to be, that's not going to create any power. And you don't want to go steep, because if you go steep, not only are you going to not be able to time it, it's too steep, so you're creating more topspin and not plow through. It goes down underneath the ball, and then it goes, you see that? It closes here and not like this. You got the idea. So number one, don't do the racket drop too far. Don't drop your arm. You could drop the racket. Don't drop the whole arm and the hand. That's number one, because it'll be too steep of an angle to hit flat. Number two, you're not closing your racket face like this. You're closing it at an angle going like that, okay? Now control that, practice it. If you do it at first, it might go down, but you'll still have power. So recognize that and say, okay, I gotta hit a little bit higher. So, learn how to control your racket face when you're hitting that shot. Thanks for watching, guys. Again, keep the comments coming. I'll do videos as much as possible with your comments and the problems that you're having. And I'll share my experience on how I fixed it or how I fixed my players or my pro players. Thanks for all the likes. Thanks for all the subscriptions. I'll see you in the next video.